Hey guys, my name is Lexie Smith. I'm a three-time founder, CEO, seasoned publicist and marketer, and your host of the Pitchin and Sippin podcast. This show will give you a front row seat to conversations with top-tier journalists, leading PR pros and marketers, and inspiring brands and entrepreneurs on the rise. I deeply believe that knowledge is power and that learning can actually be fun. So for those who need to craft pitches regularly, whether to reach an audience, land a client, earn media coverage, bylines, and beyond, listen up, take a sip, and get ready for a goldmine of invaluable tips. Emily L. Foley is a multi-platform journalist, TV personality, trend expert, and social media correspondent. A former magazine editor, her writing has appeared in publications such as Allure, Marie Claire, Glamour, Us Weekly, and InStyle.com, and she specializes in beauty, fashion, lifestyle, and entertainment topics. Foley breaks down the latest beauty and fashion trends as a trend expert on television shows nationwide and is a brand representative on QVC. Foley also covers red carpets and entertainment events and serves as a social media correspondent for Cosmoprof North America, the leading B2B beauty event in the country. Now, actually, it was through entertainment that you and I connected through a Facebook group because I was looking for people to cover the red carpet of a nonprofit I'm on the board on. I digress. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you. Where is home base? Let's just start there.
Sure. Yes. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And I'm based in Atlanta, a suburb of Atlanta. I'm not in the city proper, but I'm in a suburb.
Right. And you were going to be in LA. I think we missed each other by a couple days, right?
It was one of those things. I was out there for work and I saw your post and you said end of April. And I was like, well, if this worked out, this would be perfect. But I think I literally left like the day before your event.
Next time. It's annual. So maybe next year we can plan
better.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so outside of work, which I would have to say your work sounds pretty damn fun, but outside of work, what do you like to do for fun?
Well, I'm a mom. So having fun on my own is, that doesn't happen that often. As a family, honestly, one of my favorite things in the world is on Fridays, we try not to plan anything after school and we try to have family movie night and I feed them as quickly as I can so then we can lay in the bed and finish the movie because I am always tired and I'm always running a million miles an hour. So I love my rest, but I do yoga. I'm an avid yogi. I try to make sure that I do that at least 4 days a week. And I'm very active at my kids' school. And I am a beauty junkie, which is kind of why I started doing that. So I'm always in my free time, but it's also work testing different things. I always have a face mask on half of my face and something happening over here. And so I spend a lot of time doing that as well.
After this recording, I'm going to, I think it's called Yoga Lattes. I don't know if that's professional, like what it's actually called, but I just started it this year. I never could get into yoga, but I found a hot yoga studio that does a Yoga Lattes situation and I'm loving it. So I'm like new to the world, but
that's so fun. Well, and Pilates is so hard. People sort of think like, oh, Pilates is a very hard, intense workout. So adding those Pilates moves into yoga, you're going to be in the best shape of your life. You're going to love it.
I die. I hide in the back row, but like little by little, I'm getting better. And then my 2-year-old brings home a sickness and I can't go for 2 weeks. So then I have to like restart my whole lung capacity. But anyways, I digress. Okay, amazing. So mama of 2, you've also integrated what you love to do into what you do, which is the dream. And that kind of segues into where I want to start, which is what I always call career cliff notes. And I want to unpack how you became and I'm going to quote it from your title, a multi-platform journalist, TV personality, trend expert, and social media correspondent, because you honestly have me rethinking my own life choices because of how fun and cool that sounds. So let's rewind time. How did you get to where you are today?
So I will tell you the Cliff Note version of how I got where I am, but I will also say I am a workaholic. I was taught a good work ethic from my parents from a very young age, and I sort of don't know what to do with myself if I'm not busy. I am always working. If it's not work, it's working in the house. It's work. Like I'm a very busy person. So the reason that my career is what it is I have blood, sweat, and tears, pounded the pavement from the get go. And I sort of haven't stopped. A lot of the time, people feel like when you reach that point, it's okay to sit back. And I'm sort of always just looking for, okay, what's the next fun thing? How can we diversify this more? So, a lot of hard work is really how I got to where I am now. But in college, I was a speech major. I honestly thought I wanted to be a political speech writer.
Wow.
So speech major, communicate under the communication heading. But during that, I mean, a lot of my senior year was speech classes. So we were given a topic and we would have a certain length of time and we would have to share that topic. I was also writing for the school newspaper very heavily. I was an editor there. Um, very involved in politics. My senior year last semester, I decided that I hated politics. I hated all politicians. It was the worst place in the world, and there was no way I could do that. So I graduated from college going, wow, okay. Now I need to pivot. It's too late to get those internships. What do I want to do? So I decided that I would like to go into lifestyle journalism. And I literally just took all of my college newspaper clips, went to every single magazine and newspaper. I'm also 41. I just turned 41 years old. So this was a long time ago. But the way that I did it was I took all of those clips, went to every magazine and newspaper in Atlanta and was like, hi, I want to write for you. Found one that took me in, paid me pennies, but was okay with the fact that I had very little experience and started there and started with that. It was a lifestyle publication in Atlanta. I started going to every single event. Everything that they asked me to cover, I did. So I started meeting publicists. I started meeting restaurant owners. I started meeting people in the industry and just built that up to the point that I got an editorial position at a modern luxury publication here in Atlanta. Um, so that was print, very print heavy, all lifestyle. I mean, I did when I was an editor at Modern Luxury, I did everything from real estate to the charity event scene. I mean, really and truly touched everything. But that was sort of when I also realized what I really loved, which is what I love personally, is fashion and beauty and wellness and all of the fun stuff. As hard of a pivot as possible from politics,
Yeah,
basically.
no kidding. I love it.
So, I just was writing for print magazines and editing. And then obviously web started happening. And so then I started working with more digital publications and social media happened. And so it was like, okay, I guess I need to get this Instagram thing and sort of make sure that I'm on there and just sort of kind of kept that peripherally. But then I always say that journalists and publicists are the best friends because we need each other to survive. So a publicist friend of mine knew a producer at the local CBS affiliate. And that was there used to be Better Mornings, Better Mornings Chicago, Better Mornings Atlanta. So it was Better Mornings Atlanta. And they were looking for more lifestyle content. And she was like, you're really animated and you talk with your hands a lot. Do you think you could just do what you do on the page that you write about, but verbalize it and do it on TV? And I was like, sure, I can. Had never really thought about going on TV before. I did theater in college. Again, I was a speech major, very comfortable in front of people. So I literally just started watching the Today Show and like watching what those segments looked like and sort of just jumped into it. I started doing twice a month lifestyle segments. I will never forget my first segment. It was all about nail care and doing DIY gel kits was the big thing. So that's what I talked about. And just sort of went from there. TV sort of snowballed. I found out that I loved it. I found out that even though I never intended, a lot of people that do what I do started out in hard news on TV. They started out as anchors at news stations. I never thought about doing TV, but all of those speech classes where I had a certain length of time to talk about a certain topic had me trained perfectly for 3.5 minute segments on local news channels. So I thrived in that environment and really just worked to find more work in TV and continue that as an avenue of my career. I never wanted to give up writing, and then I loved TV and I wanted to make sure I still did both. And then the social media correspondent thing, just again, trying to make sure that I'm relevant, trying to make sure that I'm on social media. I found that was a great platform. If I had a story idea and I pitched it to editors and no one picked it up because I was freelance at that point, if I pitched it to producers for TV and nobody picked it up, then I would just talk about it on Instagram. I would talk about it myself. and sort of, again, that was before reels, kind of before stories. I would just figure out ways to do that, and then just evolved with social media. And that kind of got me to where I am now.
Introducing the next big thing you should be sipping on, Sun Moon Rising, the world's first astrology-inspired wine brand. Proudly female-founded, low-intervention, and certified sustainable, Sun Moon Rising is on a mission to redefine the way you engage with wine, delivering a cosmic connection in every glass. They are offering all Pitchin and Sippin listeners 10% off their first purchase. Simply use promo code PITCHIN10, that's PITCHIN10, all caps, at checkout online at sunmoonrisingwine.com. We will put that in the show notes. Cheers. Okay, so speaking of now, and this might be a big question, are there a core set of projects or a lane you're focusing on more? What are you doing today? Like, what are you doing this week?
So, something that I have heard many people say talking about their careers is it's so important to have certain days. Today's a day working on this project. Today's a day working on this project. Today's a mom day. That has never worked for me. I always have so many things going that I don't do a really good job of being able to focus in on one thing. My work with Cosmoprof North America is exciting. We are launching a new social media series where I'm doing interviews. We're recording them like this, and so we're then posting them almost like podcasts. So that's something that we're ramping up, and so I've just started those interviews. So that's keeping me busy. Christmas in July is a very big deal on QVC. And so there's actually a summit for that at QVC next week that I'm going to, and we're sort of ramping up and getting ready for that with my brands. So right at this moment, those are two things that I'm thinking about. But when I say I touch every bit of what I do every day, it's very true. And if I don't, it for sure feels like something is lacking. And so then at 10 p.m., I'm like real quick, making sure that one piece is still where it needs to be.
I mean, I completely relate to you. I have three businesses, and those hats get swapped. And then the mom, which I always think is, the biggest title of them all. It's always like, all right, 30 minutes here, next hat, 30 minutes here, next hat. I think it keeps things exciting. Drives some people crazy, but then or maybe we're the crazy ones, who knows?
Well, and I think that's why I've thrived as a freelancer. Some people don't like that. They want to go somewhere. And of course, telework is such a different thing post COVID. But I think so many people, when I became freelance, people liked going to the office. They wanted to clock in and clock out and have that structure. Whereas I have always thrived being able to do my own thing. If that means that I'm eating a peanut butter sandwich while I'm typing out questions for the interview, I'm supposed to, the fact that I'm in control of the time has really helped me be able to be successful and do so many things. So I definitely dropped some balls that I'm juggling because of that. But it works for me.
Yeah, I think 5 times a day I say sorry for my melty brain, and that's just because there's only so much. There's only so much. Okay, so as someone who does all the things at 100 miles an hour, somehow you still manage to find trends. You are a trend expert, and it's not necessarily a new concept that finding a general industry trend on the PR side of things for pitching purposes, which is where I largely hang out, right, is part of the job. However, my agency more recently about a year ago, added social media to our service offerings. I mean, because it's the world, right? That's where we're at here. And keeping up with trends on social media just feels like a whole other ballgame to me. I find it very overwhelming. So I want to pick your brain, and I want to start here. Knowing your multiple hats, do you find a difference in finding trends for your work with social and your work as a journalist, or are they symbiotic?
At this point, I think they're completely symbiotic because everyone wants to stay relevant. And so, more than likely, if I'm pitching a trend to a producer or an editor and I can't say, this is the hashtag on TikTok, this has blown up because of this celebrity, they may not even want to cover it because you need to meet the people where they are, and the people are on social. And whereas people in our industry may still be making sure we're getting news from different outlets, most people today are getting their news from social media. So if they're not seeing that, they're going to be like, well,
Touche.
this isn't a trend. What are you talking about? Of course, in my job, it's kind of important to be on the front of that. You want to be more trend setting than necessarily following. And then you have to debunk, especially in beauty, a lot of the garbage and the misinformation that is often being shared on TikTok. So that's a lot of the time the trend too. The trend can be, this went viral on TikTok. It's actually horrible for your skin. Here's why, and trying to kind of head that off from a place of
Mm,
education.
okay. So
Did that answer your question?
100%,
Okay.
100%,
Okay.
100%. And then here's another big one. And I love this episode because it's so selfish of me. But I know if I have these questions, other people have these questions. So how do you do it? Where do you go? Is it just like you live on, staring at hashtags 20 times, 20 hours a day? I'm sure that's not the answer, but how do you find or spot these trends? And just kind of a layer to that question, not to double stack, but I'm going to double stack here, is if you have time-saving hacks, because to me, it just feels like such a big task.
So I'm going to try to answer all of that in a sensible way. Um, it is, I've been doing this for a super long time, and it's the lens that I live my life with. So I am always looking for that. Again, I'm freelance. So if I want to make sure that I get the eye of a producer before whatever expert that they have in house, or, with an editor, if I want to get that story assignment, I have to talk about it before they even realize it. And of course, publicists and brands are going straight to them with that information. So part of it is just, as I consume life, I am thinking of it through that lens. It's like, oh, have I heard that 2 times now? And immediately that makes me think, okay, is this something that's happening? Going into stores, if you see, obviously this is not a trend anymore, but like when 90s clothing started, or even now, the 2000s clothing started cycling around. If you go into one store and you're like, oh, wow, I wore that in high school. And then you go into another store and you see it too. It's like, oh, okay, this might be trending. So it's really and truly about everything you do in life, thinking about it from, do I need to know about this? Do I need to talk about this? Do I need to pitch this? But another, again, a huge thing is publicists, because I don't have as much time to pour over the internet as I would even like to. So very often I will get an email saying, whatever just started trending on TikTok, and it's not even something I've seen anymore. So it's very helpful to me when I get that from publicists who are doing their job and telling me, and then I make a note of it. I flag the email and I'm like, okay, I need to look into this and see how big of a trend this really is. So the people that I work with are 100% feeding it to me. But then I also, again, this comes with the whole like, I don't relax a whole lot. So if I have off time, while I wish I could say that, like, I always pick up a book and start reading, I'm going to pick up my phone and start scrolling. If I'm at a doctor's office waiting, if I'm sitting in a carpool line and I don't have emails to write, so I am constantly trying to make sure that I know what's going on. My husband always laughs and says, I know a little bit about absolutely everything, which is kind of true. It's like, oh, well, I've never seen that movie, but I can tell you who starred in it, around when it came out, and why it would be relevant, because you just sort of need to be very aware of culture to be successful at what I do.
Now, I've heard you say TikTok twice. Is TikTok from a trend perspective, but also what carries over and is more cared about journalistically? Is TikTok where it's at more than Instagram? Is there equal weight? Or I guess what holds more power in the trend world?
Okay, so sadly, the answer is TikTok. And I say sadly because, again, I'm 41. I love Instagram. I don't like TikTok. I don't enjoy TikTok. I don't spend time. I don't scroll TikTok for fun. I scroll Instagram for fun. It's where my people are. It's how I like to ingest my social media. It's where I'm comfortable making my reels. It is my safe space and I love it. And TikTok feels more like work to me. I have a really good following on Instagram, very few on TikTok, because when I say I held out until the bitter end, I held out until the bitter end. I had a TikTok account, but it was just for looking. It was not for actually posting. And finally it got to the point where it's like, I can't call myself a social media correspondent and not be actively posting on TikTok. But again, I make my videos on Instagram, save them, and then post them on TikTok, because just even the interface, I'm not as comfortable with it. I don't
Yeah.
use it as often. But TikTok's where it's happening. TikTok Shops has completely taken over Amazon. I mean, it is, brands have to be on TikTok. That is
Yeah.
where the people are. It is what is important and it is what is relevant, sadly.
I'm very on that sadly word, and I know it. I was like, maybe there's a 5% chance you're gonna come on here and say there's still hope in other channels, but alas, here we are. I did try like a solid 90 days on TikTok. I failed. I'm still pouting about it. This is reminding me I probably need to go back. So it's good. It's good. I need to know this. Okay. So you cover a wide variety of beats. And you've mentioned your freelance. So are you at a stage, and this is just going to set up some context for everyone before we go into some more questions, but are you at a stage still today where you're actively pitching for story ideas and pitching your segments, or are you more at you're just kind of taking inbound assignments? Is it a mix of both? Where are you on this?
It's totally a mix of both. And honestly, again, I think that's part of my personality is, why not reach out? Why not? I have gotten some really incredible opportunities from cold pitching myself. I am the queen of the cold pitch. I have no shame. I mean, literally, when I first got out of college and I was writing, I pitched Vogue. I had no business pitching Vogue. I hadn't written for anybody. And I'm like, oh, hi, Vogue. This is my idea. And so I kind of have always had no shame in that regard, because again, like, why not? If you can get
Yeah.
that opportunity, it's worth it. So it's definitely some of both. I regularly pitch myself, but I also regularly have producers and editors coming to me with assignments as well. So that's the sweet spot to be, is I can pursue something exciting that I'm really interested in, but I also know that people are coming to me if I'm sick, if my kids are sick, if I have too much else going on, I do know that things are coming to me as well at this point.
Did you know that I send out a community newsletter roundup every Tuesday, chocked full of resources, media kit downloads, journalist contact information, event invites, visibility opportunities? Basically, if you're not on the list, hit pause and sign up. It is super simple. All you got to do is go to theprbarinc.com/newsworthy. That link is in the show notes too. Okay, back to the show. Okay, so for more digital and editorial purposes, I guess this and TV, when you're cold pitching, how do you go about your story ideation process? Is it a mixture of, okay, you are referring back to social and that's inspiring the ideas? Is it publicists are coming to you? Is it brands without publicists coming to you? Is it a mix of both? How's that process for you?
Yeah, most of the time, I am not pitching editors and producers with story ideas that have come, specific story ideas that have come to me in pitches. But those pitches help me know what's going on. So if I've gotten 4 pitches over the last month about a new ingredient that's popping up in skincare, then I know, okay, that's something to look into. And maybe this is a new category that we should be talking about. But again, and this is just how the industry works, it's a publicist's job to get publicity for their client. But a one client or one brand story is not a story. If anything, that's going to be things that editors are just talking about, the one launch from one brand. Freelancers like myself are typically going to be talking about something larger. Um,
Mm.
so typically that will feed that 100%. Again, my inbox and pitches from publicists is a huge part of it, but it's not usually, hey, this one brand is doing this thing. But I mean, I'll make a note like, okay, this is an AAPI brand. I literally have a folder for when it gets to May, which really means when it gets to February, and I'm pitching that, then I have that information saved. So the information is very, very valuable, but it's not, I am still using my own expertise to craft it and make it exactly what editors or producers want to hear.
Oh my God. So, I mean, everything you've said is brilliant, but one thing I just opened my note at and jotted down because it's never been said, at least I don't think it's been said on this show in however many episodes we're at, is that distinction between single product and grouping of product, editor versus freelancer. I think that's really, really interesting and something for everyone to hear loud and clear and think about when you are selecting who you're pitching. If it's a freelancer, how can you group and how can you add more of a bigger story to the piece? I haven't thought about it that way. So good.
Well, good.
Yes, I mean, all of it's good. Not to say the other stuff isn't good. I just especially I think that's really cool distinction. So what we're gonna do now is anytime I have someone who gets pitched on the show, we do a little bit of rapid fire. No right or wrong answer. I'm just gonna ask you some questions about what you like and don't like to receive in your inbox when it comes to pitching.
Yeah,
So
which I love this because I have talked to so many journalists about this, and there's literally a different answer for everybody. That's what's so amazing is something I hate, somebody else loves. And I'm like, oh, okay then, which makes your
yep.
job very difficult.
Super hard. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but I will say I do get on a soapbox about this. I hate when people give blanket advice for pitching because it's so preferential, hence this. Okay,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
let's learn what you like. First question, is there a day of the week you prefer to be pitched?
I would only say not Friday.
Okay.
And I feel like publicists know that. I get many, many fewer pitches on Friday. But yeah, other than that, Monday through Thursday, I don't care.
Okay. Time of day.
For me, I get, again, this is because I'm a mom. I get most of my work done in the morning. So I'm all about the earlier emails because if you send something amazing and timely at 3:30 when I've got kids getting in the car and then I'm coming home and getting homework, it almost just stresses me out because then it's sitting there until the next day. Again, I understand that typical office hours is later than that, but I am a earlier in the day person for everything.
Okay, perfect. How do you feel about follow-ups? Are they okay or nay?
Okay, this depends. A follow up on something timely, yes, you need to wait a week. When it is a cold email from someone that I have no relationship with on a topic that I don't ever cover, and then you repeatedly follow up, that is annoying. Because again, like you haven't even done the research to see if this is something that I cover. So you're sending it to me and it doesn't pertain to me, and I haven't had the time to say thank you, but no thank you. So you
Yeah.
don't need to email me 5 times a week for the next
Yeah.
5 weeks.
Yeah. You know, it's really funny on a quick tangent. Because this show is called Pitchin and Sippin, I get a lot of pitches from publicists for both alcohol brands and like marijuana products. And I'm just like, read the room. Like this isn't even a product. I'm not even a magazine. And it's funny,
Yeah.
the ones that are the most off follow up the most. I'm like, props for the
Yes.
tenacity, but it's
100%.
yeah.
100%. And again, I will get brand founders reach out to me. And if it's a brand founder, like I don't do a ton of like infant baby stuff anymore just because my kids are older. So that's
Yeah.
not what people are coming to me for. But so if it's a founder and they're like, I just invented this new baby toy and they're clearly a new brand, haven't hired PR, I will 100% write them back and say, I appreciate your tenacity so much. You're
Yeah.
doing the right thing. I just am not going to cover this. Keep up the hard work. I wish you tons of success with your brand. But when it's a publicist, it's like you have access to what you need to find out what I cover. And I've written about baby stuff before. So I hear you. I'm not mad that you sent the one email, but do not send 5 more emails if I have not responded.
Touche. And thank you for being nice to the founders out of the world. Because I'm also very pro DIY. Okay, I digress.
Yeah.
Back on track. Back to a few more questions here. Assets. How do you feel about assets? Do you want them delivered up front? Meaning product photos, links to this, or is that something like
100%.
you do? Okay, first pitch.
100%. 100%.
Okay.
And I'm not an attachment person. I need to see a picture because if you are pitching me a new product, a new beauty product, I need to know, is this beautiful and ornate and it sits on your vanity, or is this crunchy granola and great for, things that are about, less is more. I
Mhm.
need to know what this immediately I can categorize it in my head. So I need to see a picture of it. If I get an email that's all words, it doesn't help me at all. So that's while links are beneficial, I don't want to have to click the link to see what it looks like. I want a picture of what you're talking about. If it's a pair of shoes, if it's a tube of mascara, I want a picture in the email.
Okay, beautiful. Social media DM pitching, yay or nay?
I don't mind that. I always respond and say, "Here's my email. Email me," even though my email's in my bio, so it's easy to find. But I'm not one of those people that is super turned off and mad about that. I feel like, if you're on there, and I feel like typically that's more like you're talking to me as an influencer. So that's
Mhm.
where you are anyway. So I don't get mad about that. But I do ask for it because DMs are so hard to keep up with. I ask for it. Please send it to my email so I can see it and be organized.
You know, it's so funny. This question completely reminded me of like three different people I haven't responded to yet.
It's so
Writing
hard.
down. It's so true.
I wish that needs an overhaul with all the things that everybody at Meta is doing. Like, you need to overhaul the DM system.
It's terrible because one of them's a lead too, so bad on me. All right, writing that down. Whoops. Okay, last one here. And this one has been very polarizing on this show.
Mm.
Pleasantries. And just to expand on that, do you like when people take a few sentences to kind of reflect back on who you are or a shared commonality or something they liked about your work? Or no, skip that, get straight to the point. That's actually kind of annoying.
So that's the thing where I don't care at all. Like, whatever you want to do. Like, again, I've been doing this for so long that there's some publicists I've been working with forever. So, it makes sense to be like, "Hey, I hope your dog isn't sick anymore," or whatever, because we do talk on a regular basis. Um, I really and truly don't care. If you're being super cute and personable, great. If not, we're all busy. I get it. So I genuinely, it doesn't bother me. And I know people are like, "Oh, I hate certain terms like hump day," or "I hate Friday Junior," talking about none of that bothers me. Whatever.
Okay.
I have too much going on to be mad about how you write your emails.
I've heard on this show people are like, please do that so you're a human. I hate you if you don't. Flip side, I've heard saying it's so inauthentic. I'll think you're fake and I'll delete you. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why I ask these questions.
I know, but for me, it's literally like we're all just doing our best, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that whatever you're doing, you're trying. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't have time to be mad about
Well,
it.
bless you. Bless you for that. Okay, we made it through rapid fire.
Woo!
Yay. Woo. My last question on this show, I was debating, we're entering season 7. I was like, do I bring this part in? I voted yes. So here we are, guys. We're doing it again. We talked pitching. What can we find you sipping? What is your favorite beverage? It can be alcoholic or non-alcoholic, of course.
Yeah, so I'm super boring. I am a water girl. I drink gallons of water all day, every day. In the morning, I put like my little green powder in it. I drink water. I am a very, very hydrated person. It's really good for your skin and hair.
I was gonna say
Um,
that tracks with beauty.
yes, 100%. For a treat, I love green juice, like a good cold pressed juice makes my heart flutter. I love that. But I literally drink out of my giant hospital jug. Mind you, I have not had a baby in 8.5 years, but it's enormous. And I still use my maternity ward giant jug to drink my water all day long.
That is hysterical. I
Yep.
love it so much.
Again, not a Stanley, not any of the trendy things. This is bigger. It's more lightweight. I'm all about the maternity ward jug, baby.
I love it. Also wish that I was programmed to think of green juice as a treat. Boy, oh boy, do I wish I had that in me.
I know. I have been accused of being no fun. I will tell you that.
I think it's great. That's again why you have such phenomenal skin and you're going to live a long, healthier life than those of us like me who like I kind of treat green juice like my daughter does when I try to force a healthy pouch down her. She like screams and fights, but I'm like, "But it's healthy. You have to eat it." That's how I feel. So, again, I envy you on that. Goals. Okay, the last thing I just want to ask is if people want to connect with you for, there's a lot of things you do. So for whatever place, where can they, if it's social media, they want to give you a job or they want to pitch you or they just want to say hi. Where can they go? Where's the best place?
Yeah, Instagram is my favorite. I have made so many incredible connections on Instagram, real life friends that we have ended up meeting in person, amazing professional acquaintances and things, amazing synergies there. So I'm Emily L. Foley on Instagram. Find me there. My email address is also there. But then my website is emilylfoley.com. You can see kind of what I'm up to there, clips from TV and print and social media. And you can find my website or my email address on my website and my Instagram.
Perfect. And I really appreciate that it's all branded nicely, so we don't have to remember 500 different handles. So well done.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys, if you enjoyed this episode, reach out to her on Instagram, shoot her an email, tell her. Okay. I always want to remind my listeners, like they're dropping, our guests on the show drop gold. Tell them it's gold. And with that said, until next time on Pitchin' and Sippin'. Hey guys, if you are enjoying the Pitchin' and Sippin' podcast, please do me a huge favor and leave a review wherever you are listening. If you want to connect with me to learn more about the PR Bar Inc., you can do so on Instagram at @thePRBar_Inc., or you can check out my website at theprbarinc.com. Cheers!